Hi everyone and welcome back to Bonnie Astrology. Today we are talking about the full moon in Cancer, which is happening on either the 26th or the 27th of December 2023, depending on where you are in the world. This full moon is a very sensitive, emotional and nostalgic full moon. The sign of Cancer is associated with the past, our roots and our ancestry, and Mercury is still in retrograde, and at the time of this full moon it will be retrograde in Sagittarius. So if you want to know what this moon means for your zodiac sign, timestamps are listed below, but I am going to go into what the full moon means for us collectively, the themes that might be coming up for us as a whole. And if you do want to book a 2024 reading with me, the information is listed in the description. I am taking bookings for January. I did take a bit of a hiatus. I've taken quite a few hiatuses this year, but I am taking bookings for January for private readings. So if you do want to book a private reading with me, the information is listed in the description to see what 2024 means for you from an astrological perspective. So this full moon is happening in the sign of Cancer, and Cancer is one of the three water signs of the zodiac, and Cancer is actually ruled by the moon. So when we have a full moon in Cancer, we tend to be more in touch with our emotions. Cancer is associated with our private life, what we hide inwardly, what we hold inwardly, and that can be from past experiences, that can be from family lineage, that can be ancestral karma. And this full moon tends to bring up feelings surrounding home, family and private matters, but also the past. And the past is particularly emphasized with this full moon because we do have Mercury retrograde. So it may be that we are feeling quite nostalgic for the past. We may be finding ourselves more emotional about family matters, home matters, even property matters and private matters. This full moon is bringing to a peak, bringing to a crescendo our feelings surrounding these matters. And however that manifests for you, whether you're thinking about the past, whether you're thinking about Christmases long ago, it's the ghost of Christmas past for you because this is happening just a couple of days or even a day after Christmas, depending on where you are. You may be quite nostalgic of times gone by, or you may be feeling emotions from past experiences, past relationships that you did not realize. You may be reminiscing about the past. You may be talking with your family about the past. This full moon is actually quite a nice time to get together with family. It is positively aspected, but obviously depending on your individual chart, it may actually come up for you as being quite intense emotionally if it is hitting a point in your chart by a square, an opposition. So for reference, that would be if you have any placements at 5 degrees of the cardinal sign, so that would be Cancer itself, 5 degrees of Capricorn, Libra or Aries. But this can definitely be a time where we're feeling more intensely about family matters, about home matters, property matters, your living situation even, or the past itself. And with Mercury retrograde, that is entirely possible. I want to make one reference to the fact that this full moon is occurring while Pluto is at the anaretic degree, which is 29 degrees of Capricorn. Now, Pluto is at the 29th degree for a month. This time it will reach that degree again by a retrograde in September 2024. But for now, this is because it is occurring and it will meet a conjunction with the Sun at 29 degrees of Capricorn in January on Epstein's birthday, I believe. It is going to be an exposure. And just for reference, charts still manifest, transits still manifest after someone has died. But it is going to be an exposure, particularly concerning leadership, government, people in positions of power, the wealthy, the very, very wealthy with Capricorn. And it is definitely an unearthing of secrets. And obviously, if we look at the news, we can see that some of that is due to come out in January. I've been talking about this on Instagram. That is also linked below if you want to follow me there. But this is going to be an exposure collectively of a lot of secrets, and probably, I would say, some leaders may step down. Some leaders may leave entirely. And in our private lives, in our personal lives, this can coincide with loss. Pluto at 29 degrees, Aquarius degree, can be a time of transition for a lot of people because Pluto is a planet associated with death and rebirth, and sometimes that can be literal. And a lot of the time, full moons that coincide with the solstice or in and around the solstice, as this one is, do tend to coincide with deaths. and letting go. That can sometimes be letting go of a particular mindset, a belief system, letting go of a relationship, letting go of a job, letting go of something in your life. And it's likely occurring in the Capricorn part of your chart. But if it's not that, it can just be the process of letting go of deep-seated traumas. Because Pluto is also a planet associated with traumas, and with a full moon being in the sign associated with the past and with family and ancestors, those traumas can be associated with family, or they can be associated with childhood, the past, family lineage. You could be doing a lot of ancestral healing around this time as well if you're into those type of things, or you're into working with that kind of energy. It can also be a really nice time to honor your ancestry. Because Pluto is at 29 degrees, it does feel a little bit like there is a touch of Samhain Halloween energy to this festive season, truthfully. It doesn't feel as light and fluffy as it could. But one of the nice things about this full moon is that it's actually really well aspected. So the full moon is happening at 4 degrees 57 minutes of Cancer. So we're really looking at 4, 5, 6 degrees of the cardinals. Look to where 4, 5, 6 degrees of the cardinals fall in your chart for a little bit of an indication of how this might be affecting you. If you watch your rising sign, this will be clear to you what house this is happening in and how this is impacting you. But the full moon is making a really lovely sextile to Jupiter in Taurus. It's a very close sextile to, and sextiles represent opportunities. So this may be a time where you have an opportunity to have fun, an opportunity to be optimistic, to be cheerful, to be harmonious with others, particularly family, to share gifts with family, to share music. And this doesn't have to be necessarily your blood family. This can be the people that you regard as family, but to feel the energy of family for some people. This is where we can share gifts, share music, sing together, get together. Taurus is a very musical sign. We can enjoy the material pleasures together, such as food, such as drink, such as music, sharing gifts. We can share wisdom, we can share knowledge, we can share stories, and we can share faith and give gratitude with this sextile to Jupiter. Now that energy itself is very of the season. It is the time of year where we're supposed to be grateful and giving and jovial and loving. And the sextile to Jupiter in Taurus presents an opportunity to do these things. So do pay attention if you're invited to a party, if you're invited to a gathering. This can actually be a time where it goes a little bit better than expected. There can be opportunity for this Jupiter energy. And Jupiter is actually going to station direct at New Year's Eve. So that can be a really beautiful energy to work with. Now this is at the degree that Jupiter was at the eclipse in October 28th. So you may be noticing a pattern, you may be noticing a theme, you may be noticing some sort of synchronicity linked to that eclipse occurring at this time that feels positive because it is Jupiter. But it may be more so expansive, it might be knowledgeable, it might be higher awareness, higher understanding, or linked to faith with this particular station direct. It's also going to be trining Saturn. And the trine to Saturn in Pisces is offering us the opportunity, although this feels more flow because it's a trine, this feels more flowing. It offers us the emotional maturity that we need when it comes to family members, when it comes to home, when it comes to our private life, and when it comes to the past. So with Saturn, sometimes Saturn can present very tough lessons, but it helps us grow, it helps us mature. It helps us make more responsible and accountable choices. And the trine to Saturn in Pisces feels a little bit like the decision to not blame the past, not blame your experiences, not blame where you come from, not blame your culture, not blame your family, so to speak. It's more about taking the lesson. It's more about taking the understanding and choosing the, without sounding too woo-woo, choosing the frequency of love, because the frequency of love does not exist with the frequency of blame. And Saturn is about accountability. Saturn going through Pisces means that as a collective we are less desiring of victim status in our own personal lives. And that's not to say that nobody is ever a victim, because they absolutely are at times. But in our own personal lives, in our own spiritual understanding, our own karma. Saturn in Pisces is more so about being accountable, being responsible for our own stuff, our own healing even. And for some people, this can also manifest as choosing solitude. And so maybe for some people that are choosing solitude at this full moon, choosing to spend time by themselves, choosing to spend time alone, this may actually feel as though you are learning something, growing something, or you may be getting a greater understanding of where you come from, of your lineage, of your private life and your relationship to your family, or what you consider home and family. The trine to Saturn is also very positive for ancestral work, so honoring your ancestors, talking about loved ones who have passed. So for example, in our family, under the solstice, there was a death, there was a loss. And in a roundabout way, this is really accurate to the full moon in Cancer energies, because people are coming together to talk about the past, to talk about their loved ones, to offer their loved one, to offer support, to offer memories. So it feels very in tune with this full moon in Cancer, I have to say. And interestingly enough, the full moon is forming a square to my Venus in the 8th house. So that's kind of one of the ways that it's manifesting for my family, at least. And the sharing of memories, the sharing of experiences, the sharing of the past, and that kind of thing as well. So it's a very emotional and sensitive one, but it does offer a lot of opportunity for nurture, a lot of opportunity for healing, a lot of opportunity to, with the trine to Saturn, be more emotionally mature, be the bigger person, to grow, to learn. The sextile to Jupiter is the opportunity to have fun together, to share together, to laugh together, to eat together, to drink together, to sing together. Actually, another thing that manifested in the full moon in Cancer energies for me was that a cousin of mine had a get together and everybody sat around in the living room singing carols, and it was really beautiful because it was the energy of singing together, harmonizing together. We all did a Reiki share, putting Reiki out into the world, and it was really lovely. And these are the kind of things that I think come up with the full moon in Cancer, the opportunity to be with people, to work through your emotions with others in a way that is nurturing, in a way that is holding a container, holding space. Cancer is associated with the womb, so it can feel quite cozy. It can feel quite nurturing and nourishing. The Cancer energy itself is cardinal water, which means that, in a sense, cardinal is very directed. It is about leadership, but the crab does go sideways. So we're not necessarily facing everything head on. We're not necessarily going directly towards the source. We're not necessarily going directly towards what it is that needs to be discussed, what it is that needs to be healed, but we're getting there in a sideways manner. So we may be not necessarily the most direct emotionally, but there are ways to navigate things from a different angle. There are ways to approach things from a different angle. People might be making sideways moves, but it doesn't mean that no moves are being made. Because this is a full moon in Cancer, it's the last full moon of the year, we actually started 2023 with a full moon in Cancer on the 6th of January, and now we're ending it with a full moon in Cancer. So there is this bookmark energy with a year in between the two. And this full moon and the last full moon also coincided with Mercury retrogrades, which is that reflective energy. We kind of began 2023 with a very emotionally reflective energy, and we're ending it with a very emotionally reflective energy. And because this full moon is quite close to the solstice, and the solstice is occurring with the Sun-Mercury cazimi at 0 degrees of Capricorn, so we have another energy of bookends. This cazimi is happening at 0 degrees of Capricorn, Pluto's at 29, so your Capricorn house has a new beginning and an ending at the same time. You know, opposites can exist, they can coexist, they can coincide. So if you're going through a really awful time, it doesn't mean that there can't be a beautiful new beginning. I think a lot of the time, there was definitely a few years ago where the law of attraction became more mainstream, and there was this sense of you have to be fully healed before this. You have to love yourself completely before this. There was never any sense of, well, actually, you can be going through hell and something wonderful can happen. Or you can be having the happiest day of your life and something awful can happen. You know, that these things can coexist. You can be having a terrible time in one part of your life and it can still call in a new beginning. So don't feel that because things are hard, don't feel like because things feel awful, that you're necessarily going to be this buffer, this block to something beautiful beginning at the same time. We do have this energy of bookends. And so we're reflecting on the year that we've had, what we liked about it, what worked. This Mercury retrograde, the Cazimi is occurring in Capricorn. Mercury does retrograde back into Sagittarius on the 23rd of December. But we do have this sense of reflection of the year that we've just experienced, what we liked, what worked, what didn't work, what we want to change, what we want to bring forward. And the Mercury station direct energy on the 1st of January 2024 is in itself a big indicator that 2024 is a completely new year. It's a complete change. And thankfully, we have Jupiter moving into Gemini, because I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of having so many planets in the same signs. You know, Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus, the North Node in Chiron and Aries, Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. Kind of bored of the same signs. No offense to those signs, it's more to do with the astrology rather than those zodiac signs as people, not at all. But it'll be nice to have a bit of a different energy come into the year with Jupiter being in Gemini. So with this full moon, it's a real opportunity to see how you're feeling, because certain feelings may come up that you didn't expect, that you didn't realize were still going on underneath. You may be feeling a little bit more emotional about the past than you usually would. With Mercury being in retrograde, you can absolutely run into people from the past. It is the season to run into people that you used to know, used to go to school with, that lived in your neighborhood. But because we have Pluto at 29 of Capricorn and the Sun in Capricorn, as we reflect on the year and these emotions come up, we can actually see what emotions were perhaps pushed down that we couldn't deal with because we were working, because we were striving towards goals, creating a career for ourselves, creating long-term goals, creating a reputation, creating a public image, and figuring out how you show up to the world outwardly. And this woman is saying, but how are you showing up for yourself inwardly? How are you showing up with yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, for your own emotions? Your emotions may actually be the thing, the suppressed emotions may actually be the thing that's holding you back from your goals, coincidentally. So this full moon does let you get right to that soft, squishy center and see how you're truly feeling. And you let these come up, you let them come up. You feel them, you don't analyze them. The full moon in Cancer is very good with emotions because it's not a sense of analyzing it, thinking, why do I feel like this? You can be curious and investigative. That can really give you a sense of what in the past maybe occurred or what pattern occurred. Those are absolutely valid things to consider. You still have to feel it to let it move through, or your body's going to store it. So do pay attention to your emotions coming up because they can give you a very good clue about what you need. And therefore, with the trine to Saturn, set some boundaries, and with the sextile to Jupiter, know that you can have a teaching moment, a learning lesson through fun and joy and connection too. So I'm going to be drawing an oracle card for this full moon in Cancer. It is the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle, if you want to see it. But let's see what this full moon in Cancer means for us all. Oh, we got one. Okay, I'm going to have to cover up something because YouTube has kind of... It's going to have to save her modesty. Ceremony. She's completely starkers underneath that veil, so I just, YouTube rules. Ceremony. I call upon those heralds of winter, dimming light for better sight. Hear thy praise spilling from thy lips, a spell I'll cast for thy spirits in me. So this is a card of ceremony. It's a beautiful full moon for a ceremony. It's a beautiful full moon to light candles, to meditate, to reflect, to honor your ancestors in particular, to dim the lights, light candles, be present with the darkness, be present with the shadow. The solstice does tend to coincide with being still in the darkness, being reflective, but also feeling the hope and the trust in the light returning. So this might be something that's coming up for you at the moment, is being very still, feeling kind of in the dark about certain things, but beginning to feel hope again, beginning to feel faith with the sextile to Jupiter. But dimming the light for better sight gives me the sense of perhaps moving away from the distractions, the hustle and bustle. I sometimes, and this sounds very suspicious, I sometimes feel that the commodifying of Christmas, the Christmas season where we have to be super busy all the time, where we're getting very fraught about someone asking you on a loop every day. You could ask the same question: are you all ready for Christmas? Have you got everything for Christmas? Have you done all this for Christmas? And really, it's more to do with stillness. This time of year, Yuletide, is supposed to be stillness, supposed to be resting, recharging. But it can actually feel incredibly busy and chaotic. And in that busy and chaotic energy, we don't tend to feel reflective. We don't tend to feel still. We tend to feel anxious. And sometimes people actually go very deeply into the busy stuff to avoid the feelings, to avoid the reflection, and to maybe accept that this year wasn't necessarily the year that they wanted. Not all years in our lives are years where big things happen. Some years are very dull in an outward sense. They don't all coincide with big life events, big life changes. You don't meet the love of your life every year. You don't have your firstborn every year. You don't buy your first house every year. You don't necessarily win the lottery every year. You don't get your dream job every year. Some years are more about inner growth. And this year did feel incredibly hermity for a lot of people. I know for myself included, it felt like quite a hermity, lonely year, truthfully. And sometimes when Christmas comes around, or the end of year, Yuletide comes around, whatever it is you celebrate, even if it's just the idea of year end, although the new year being at this time makes absolutely no sense, but anyway, it can just be this sense of, oh, this wasn't the best year, this wasn't the most important year of my life, this didn't bring me everything that I wanted. That's okay. Not every year can. And you'd be pretty burnt out if it did, I imagine. And things would be very fleeting. So, sitting with yourself in ceremony and stillness and acceptance of the fact that not everything has been the way that you wanted it to be can indeed be a very healing thing. And whatever ceremonies that you work with, whatever way that you honor your ancestors, whatever way you manifest, whatever little rituals you have, because even if you do not do any spiritual rituals, even if you're just watching this because you're somewhat interested in astrology, your makeup routine can be a ritual. Your shower routine is a ceremony. Whatever it is that you do, we all have our little routines and our own little ceremonies, and they can be really beautiful opportunities to connect and reflect with us. So try to do them without distractions. Say you do your makeup, try to do it without watching something on YouTube. Maybe you're watching this while you're doing your makeup. If you are, do let me know. But try to do it without honing in on something else. Be present with that ceremony and that ritual and see what comes up for you. I'm going to pull a tarot card before we get into the zodiac signs. 6 of Wands, success. Reflect on your successes this year, because there will be some. There will be something, even if you feel like it wasn't a monumental year, there will be something. I've got something on my eye. There will be something that you are grateful for. So reflect on your successes. Reflect on what went well this year. Reflect on what you're proud of. Reflect on what you've accomplished. Even if it's entirely internal. Even if it's healing that you've done internally. Even if it's a way that you've grown, a way that you've developed as a person. Whatever that may be. And with the Knight of Wands, do be mindful if you're traveling. The Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is quite tricky for traveling, so double check that you've got your passport with you if you're traveling abroad. If you're getting a flight, double check that you've all the right documents. Arrive early, bring something if you're delayed, something to help you if you're delayed, a phone charger, for example, a good book, whatever it is. With Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, that does tend to coincide with long haul flights. Flying, airlines, there can be delays. This Mercury retrograde is going to square Neptune. There can be fog, there can be adverse weather conditions that make traveling a little bit more difficult. Even if you're traveling by sea with the square to Neptune as well. So just be doubly cautious when traveling that you've got everything you need. Prepare for last minute change of plans. Prepare for changes to your itinerary while traveling. That is what I have for the full moon in Cancer. A little bit longer than usual, but I hope you all have a beautiful full moon. Just want to thank you all for your continued love and support to this channel, to my astrology business, to my Instagram, to all things that I do astrological. Your support is very much appreciated, and I'm really pleased with how many wonderful people I've got to connect with through this channel. I've even made friends through this channel, which is really nice too. And I just want to extend my gratitude and my warmth to you and to yours with this full moon in Cancer. I hope that you know for certain what you want in 2024, and I hope that it finds its way to you. That's all I have for me. Bye. Hi Cancer, welcome to the full moon in your sign. So Cancer, I'm filming this under a storm, and it's weird because when I look out the window it doesn't look too bad, it just looks like it's raining, but I can really hear the creaking on the roof. It's actually quite windy, so just in case you hear any strange sounds, that's what's happening, and hopefully the roof doesn't cave in. But this full moon for you Cancer is happening in your first house, so this is it's an emotional one for you. It's very reflective on who you are, who you're becoming. It kind of feels for a lot of you this year that you really had to look backwards to look forward. You probably did quite a lot of inner work, because we bookend the year with a full moon in your sign, and we end it with a full moon in your sign and a Mercury retrograde both times. So it feels like a lot of you have been particularly reflective on who you want to be, who you've been, because sometimes reconciling with past versions of yourself is the best way to make a better future for yourself, to develop a better relationship with yourself. On a more practical level, this full moon can be changes to your body. Some of you may actually find that you're retaining more water than usual under this full moon, because it is happening in your sign, and it is a water sign, and it's forming a sextile to Jupiter. So perhaps, indulging in good food, good wine, or whatever it is that you take around the holidays, could make you feel a little bit more bloated or a little bit more prone to water retention. It's just something that I wanted to mention with that sextile to Jupiter. But the sextile is the opportunity for such. So obviously you can make choices with what it is that you're ingesting, but Taurus does tend to be, Jupiter and Taurus does tend to coincide with good food, good party food, that kind of thing. But you may also find yourself getting a haircut, changing your style around this time. You could find yourself feeling a little bit emotional about the way you see yourself, the way you view yourself, and who you've become. With this full moon being in your first house, you could feel quite emotional about your identity, how you see yourself, maybe even how you feel you're perceived, and your approach to life. But what I really like about this full moon for you Cancer is that it is forming a sextile to Jupiter in your 11th house. Now, Jupiter going through the 11th house as a transit, I've mentioned this before, is one of my favourites. It tends to be a time that expands our life when it comes to friendships, when it comes to groups. Because it's a sextile to your ascendant, as I say, this is the opportunity to do so. So you do need to make some sort of effort to have these things if they are what you want, Cancer. But Jupiter going through your 11th house does tend to expand your social network. If you have presence online, you might find that you're getting a lot of attention at this time. You might find you're getting a lot of response from people on the internet. This might also be a time when you're feeling particularly emotional about a humanitarian cause or something that you want to work with, some way you want to help the world. It can bring a lot of growth and fun times at social events, so networking at this time can be really positive. It is also for you, Cancer, forming a trine to Saturn in your 9th house. So this is giving you a lot of wisdom, because Saturn is associated with wisdom, the 9th house is associated with wisdom, different kinds of wisdom. Saturnian wisdom can be through hard knocks. So you might have had some hard lessons. You might have had to incorporate more discipline, incorporate more accountability and responsibility when it comes to higher education if you're studying, when it comes to the law, when it comes to your culture, when it comes to cross-cultural relations. So if you've been traveling, if you've been learning a different language, that can be one way that Saturn transiting the 9th does manifest, is the discipline in learning a different language or immersing yourself in a different culture, which can sometimes be quite hard to do. It doesn't necessarily come naturally, particularly if it's very different to your own. It can also be just about higher study in general. So if you're at university, you may have had a lot of hard work to do, working on a thesis, working on something like that. And these are actually positively changing the way that you view yourself, because this is these are positive aspects to your first house. So you may be feeling kind of proud of yourself, Cancer. You might be feeling kind of proud of who you're becoming, proud of what you're learning, proud of who you are showing up to the world as. And you're more inclined around this full moon to be seen, to show up. Even if you are not necessarily naturally like that, you may be, you may not be. But it is a time where you may find yourself a little bit more in the spotlight. You might have old friends reaching out to you. You may have old work, people you used to work with, people you used to go to the gym with, people you used to exercise with, used to do sports with. You might have old colleagues reaching out to you as well. And it feels as though if you're having people reach out to you on social media, if you're having old friends reach out to you, you may find that they are complimenting you on how you look or how you are showing up or just your energy in general, Cancer. So the cards that I got for you were the Darkest Hour and Judgment. And this one's really interesting because it actually has the full moon right in the middle. So I thought this was actually very appropriate for you. But it says, there is in the void of thy darkness swells the shadow of the soul, swallowing the wickedness into the blackness of its wholeness and judgment. So I do think these energies seem to be a point of realization. I feel with Pluto being in your opposite sign in the crisis degree, you may have really been going through it emotionally. You might have been doing a lot of inner work and purging when it comes to old relationships or when it comes to relationship dynamics, when it comes to beliefs about relationships with Pluto being at 29 degrees. You may have found yourself experiencing a lot of change and perhaps crisis moments when it comes to a marriage, when it comes to a relationship, when it comes to a business partner, and maybe even just simply the way that you relate to others. And you're maybe having some very important realizations around this time because after all, a full moon is opposite the sun and the sun is in your sector of relationships. You may be having some very deep realizations about subconscious or unconscious beliefs pertaining to marriage, pertaining to relationships, pertaining to an old spouse. You might even hear from an old spouse or an old relationship. I feel like a lot of you are doing some very deep soul searching around this time, but also having very poignant, profound realizations that are going to change the way that you see things, particularly from a relationship perspective, but also personal. And I kind of get the sense that maybe in hearing from people from the past, maybe going over issues from the past, you're seeing things a little bit differently, and you might be waking up to something within you that you want to change. And you're maybe coming to the realization that if you change these things within yourself, the world outside is going to start to look different and respond differently to you too. So this is an interesting one for you. You're probably having some very profound realizations, Cancer, with these two. But I hope you have a beautiful full moon, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Leo, welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Leo, this one's quite emotional for you. This is happening in your 12th house, and this is to do with endings. It's to do with healing. It's to do with closure. It's a grief house, and it's also to do with karma and solitude. So I know that doesn't sound very nice, but hear me out. This full moon's actually very well aspected. So what I'm kind of seeing for you, Leo, is that this is a time of letting go. Now, someone did comment when I mentioned the 12th house on Instagram. Someone did comment and say the 12th house sounds very vague. This sounds very vague. And it is kind of vague because the 12th house isn't necessarily what you see, it's what you feel. And sometimes it can also be what you've repressed, what you've hidden so well that even you can't find it, but you can feel it, you can sense it's there. It's the ghost in the room. If you're sensitive to energy, it's the ghost in the room. You can feel its energy. It's not necessarily obvious. It doesn't necessarily mean the lights start to go. It doesn't necessarily mean that an apparition appears in front of you. But you feel it energetically. You feel a presence. It can also sometimes be when there's a spider in the room and it's a big spider and you know that it's there. You can feel the presence, but you're not necessarily sure where it is. Sometimes it can be quite hidden too. And this full moon is an exposure of this. So you can bet that you're probably having some quite peculiar dreams. You're probably having some very deep emotional realizations, and they can come in the form of a trigger, feeling very triggered by something, feeling a sudden burst of emotion, feeling a swelling of emotion, feeling kind of suddenly aware of something. It can also come in the form of a really great psychic reading, a really great tarot reading, a really great astrology reading that really gets to the root of something going on within you. The 12th house full moon is a beautiful time to read tarot because you can get really into your own psyche. or to be working with a therapist, to be working with a psychologist, to be working with someone who can help you go deeper, do some shadow work and some healing. And you might decide something has to come to an end at this point. You might decide this is done. This is not for me anymore. I need to let this go. I do feel for a lot of you it may be an attitude, but for some of you it could be the feeling of grief. There could be something that needs to be let go of. There could be something that needs to change, or maybe something has materialized as grief. Maybe you're dealing with a loss. Maybe you're dealing with some feelings from the past surrounding family. Maybe you're dealing with grief in your family. Maybe you're dealing with the ending of a particular chapter of your life. It doesn't have to be a literal loss. As I say, it doesn't have to be one that you can see. This is about illuminating what's hidden within you. Now, it's forming a sextile to Jupiter in your 10th house. So this healing that you're doing, I feel like it can kind of offer up an opportunity for the way that you're viewed. It can maybe help you in your career. So say you're in an industry that it works with healing, what works with emotions. Whatever you're dealing with right now can absolutely help you in your career. Even if you're not, even if you're in an accountancy job, the letting go and the feeling that you're experiencing right now, the release of those feelings can definitely help you achieve greater success, whatever that means to you in your career, in your field, because maybe you're letting go of some emotional debris that is actually holding you back. Because the sextile to Jupiter can offer an opportunity to be seen, an opportunity to go public. Some of you, although this is a very private energy that you're working with, you may decide to share it. You might decide to share what's going on for you, what you're healing from. You might decide to share your emotions online, put it out to the public, and maybe kind of it'll maybe help you grow your reach, and maybe help you grow your public persona. It'll maybe help you grow as a person. It might change the way other people view you. It might make other people see you as very honest about your emotions. There can absolutely also be things coming up for you about the father, and I will get into that in a second, but there can be some healing when it comes to the father in your life, some healing surrounding your feelings regarding the father, or even regarding fatherhood. There could perhaps be an ending or a closure with an old issue with a father. Some of you could actually be developing, you could have this really nice opportunity to heal your relationship with your father, or perhaps heal your relationship with the father figures in your life, or your relationship to authority in some way, shape or form. There's also a really nice trine to Saturn in your 8th house. I kind of feel like for some of you, if you are going, and you'll already know this, if you are going through a loss, if you are going through actual grief, you may be getting a very significant inheritance or something from someone you've lost, because the 8th house does tend to rule other people's money. So maybe it is that someone in your life is actually, in fact, for some of you, it could be a father helping you out financially, or it could be that you're getting a tax rebate. It could be that you're getting some sort of financial grant, some sort of financial loan to something that you want to do. And it's maybe helping you close out a chapter. But this can also be psychologically realizing you've really grown, you've really matured emotionally as well, Leo. We do have for your cards Father Christmas, which is why I really felt that the father might be something that's coming up for you guys, or the notion of fatherhood as well. And the 8 of Cups. So I do feel like a lot of you are letting something go. Now, this could actually be your paternal lineage. If you're into ancestral healing, this could be surrounding your father's side of the family. But it could also be that perhaps you are letting go of certain feelings, a certain chapter when it comes to your father. Some of you are, you could already be grieving a father, missing a grandfather. Or some of you could be connecting deeper to your father's side. The Father Christmas card is 13, and it says, "How did thou get here? Lost perhaps? No worries at all. Gather yourself and clear the frost, for the good still lives in you, dear." I think some of you are forgiving with the 12th house. Some of you are forgiving somebody, maybe forgiving a father, maybe forgiving an authority figure, a father figure, and a man in your life. I feel like a lot of you are ready to let go of something. And I think it's going to help you grow. I think it's going to help you mature. Now, please bear in mind when I say this, I do not know your individual situation. So I am not telling you this as a blanket ban of what you should and should not do with people in your life based on your unique relationships to other people, because I do not know this. I am just a person here on the internet reading the astrology. this is very much up to you and your journey and your experience. I'm not telling you to do anything, but I do feel for you personally, you may be deciding to let go of something, whether that is just the thoughts, the repetitive thoughts or something, or whether that is you're deciding you want to see a therapist to work through some issues, you want to see a healer, you want to try something new, go somewhere new. I feel, Leo, that you're really being called to let go of something, to release something. And I think once you do, you're going to feel a lot better about it than you think. Gather yourself and clear the frost, for the good still lives in you, dear. The good still lives in you, dear. Cute. That's what I have for you, Leo, and I will see you soon. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So, Virgo, this is happening in your 11th house. This full moon for you could be really very social. It could be a time of spending beautiful moments with your friends, with a particular group of people that you really enjoy. Going to a social event, being out in the world, networking, mingling. It might also be a time when you're feeling surrounding humanitarian work that you're doing, or an aspiration or a goal from the future. These emotions are all realized. Your emotions may swell quite a bit when it comes to your friends. And this could be in a good way. This could be realizing how loved you are. This could be realizing how, you know, your unique contribution to your group, your worthiness in social situations. You could be really feeling very positive about this. Or it could be, you know, if it's making a trickier aspect in your chart, you could be feeling kind of wobbly about these. But I actually really feel for you, Virgo, that if you haven't already, this may be a time that you're getting together with a group of people and you're feeling the warmth of it. You know, it's forming a sextile to Jupiter in Taurus. It is forming a trine to Saturn in Pisces. If you're going to a social event, if you're going to a social networking event, you could absolutely meet a partner. You could absolutely meet a new relationship. This could be romantic. This could be a best friend. This could even be a business partner. But if you're networking, if you're mingling, if you're online dating, if you are putting your pictures in social media, there could be somebody that wants to form a connection with you. And I feel with the Saturn aspect, it could be quite solid. I also feel that with your cards, so I'll get to that in a moment. This may also be a time for some of you in relationships that you're looking to the future together. And that could be the next chapter of your relationship. With Saturn in your relationship sector, Virgo, you could absolutely be planning an engagement, planning a marriage. You could be having a party around this time, an engagement party, a wedding. Any of those things with the 11th house. The sextile to Jupiter in the 9th is a beautiful time to connect with people that are maybe traveling for the holidays in different lands. From different lands, people could be coming home to visit. You could be connecting with family that live abroad. You could also be traveling yourself to connect with people who live abroad, connect with family that live abroad as well. And you may also find that perhaps you're making plans to connect with friends from university, connect with friends from college, from higher education, or perhaps you're even planning to take new steps in your higher education with Jupiter soon to go direct in your 11th house. Virgo. Now your cards are so cute. You got the Lovers and you also got Cardinal Medicine, which is these two beautiful birds. Kind of reminds me of two French hens in that song. Three calling birds, two French. Is that it? I don't know. But it's two birds. Two birds are associated with lovers. So Cardinal Medicine. And this is a cardinal full moon, so bear this in mind. Thyself bleeds of sacredness and honour fit for the gods. You're worth all the seas and the skies and all the desires you hold inside. So I kind of feel for some of you, this is going to be a really beautiful full moon when it comes to relationships. When it comes to love, knowing you're worthy of relationships, knowing you're worthy of being loved and accepted. This might be a time when you have a best friend who tells you how much they value you, how much they love you. This could be a time when your partner tells you this, or you're having some kind of event, party to celebrate your relation to another person, or you're even meeting somebody who's very important on your path, Virgo, because this is just giving me such beautiful energy of love. It really is. It's a very loving union type of energy. So I feel like things for you, Virgo, are looking quite nice with this full moon in Cancer. I'm not gonna lie. Full moon in Cancer, full moon in the 11th, also a wonderful time to make a wish. Wonderful time to make a wish. Your ruler is retrograde and will have retrograded back into your 4th house at this time, so there can be some misunderstandings with family, with your family, with home, property matters. There can be some miscommunication, misunderstandings, but I feel like with this full moon, you're really enjoying networking and being around people, feeling very loved and appreciated, Virgo. That's what I have for you. Talk to you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Libra, this is happening in your 10th house, your public image, your career, your reputation. This is at your midheaven. So the way that the world views you, your career, your social status. So for some of you, this could absolutely be a promotion. This could be a new job. This could be hearing back from a job. This could be leaving a job for some of you. But I feel like if you are leaving a job, Libra, you're feeling pretty good about this. And I'll tell you why in a second. But this is putting you very much in the spotlight, very much front and center. So if you want to be seen by important people in your career, Libra, I would let yourself be as visible as possible. There could definitely be something coming up. If you work for a firm, if you work for a corporation, there could definitely be news coming up there. There could be shifts in leadership, shifts in authority figures. There could also be things coming up with the father for some of you Libras as well. But this full moon is making a sextile to Jupiter in your 8th house. So Jupiter going through the 8th house can be where you are benefiting financially from somebody else, benefiting from a partner, benefiting from an inheritance, benefiting from a loan, benefiting from your taxes, benefiting from a partner's inheritance, something like that. With Jupiter going through there, Jupiter tends to expand these things. And the sextile here can bring an opportunity. So this could be taking a job where you're going to benefit financially. Perhaps you're going to get healthcare through this job. Perhaps you're going to also start a job with higher pay, which means you get more taxes. It can be things like that, but it certainly seems to be affecting your joint finances. So maybe your career is also going to benefit your partner financially if you have one. But it does feel with the positive connection between the 10th and the 8th that your social status is changing. And that may also be because of an inheritance. That may also be because of property, assets. This could be changing the way that you're viewed by the world. There's a trine to Saturn in your 6th house. So Saturn in your 6th house is bringing a lot of maturity and a lot of responsibility when it comes to your health. You're going to have to, Libra, whether you like it or not, prioritize your health and well-being. With Saturn going through there, you may have to cut back on certain foods that you eat. You may have to cut back on certain exercises, even for the sake of your bones, for the sake of your muscles. If you find yourself, sometimes you can go the opposite way. People think that if you exercise a lot, or some people think if you exercise a lot and eat well, that is complete health, but sometimes you can overdo it through the exercises that you do, and these can damage your bones or they can damage your muscles. And you're having to make cuts, you're having to make restrictions, and you have to be very accountable with your health. So the trine to Saturn here feels as though this is paying off for you when it comes to your career. So maybe you're taking better care of yourself physically and you're able to show up to the world with more energy. Perhaps you are making very accountable decisions with the services that you provide, and therefore you're able to grow your career. If you're self-employed, you're maybe cutting back on certain things that you offer to make for more time for the services that are going well, that get you more recognition, get you more success. That can also be something that's coming up for you, Libra. And I really like your cards because we have this really cute reindeer, ringing of the bells. How cute is he? Ring thy bell to cast them out, ring thy bell and dance about. Swirl the sounds amidst the wind, nowhere to hide, for all will ring. So I feel like you're paying attention to the alarm bells or the notifications in your life, Libra. That could be Saturn going through the 6th, paying attention to your health, paying attention to warning signs, paying attention to the way your body reacts to certain foods, that kind of thing. I feel like you're paying attention to notifications in your life that are bringing your attention to what needs to be dealt with. The 9 of Cups is about wish fulfillment. So I feel like you're maybe getting a notification around this time, maybe a message, maybe an email of wish fulfillment, something you really want. A wish is coming true, a dream is coming true. Something is happening for you that you really wanted. And I think for a lot of you, this could be coming in the form of a message. This could be coming in form of like a ding on your phone. It kind of reminds me of In a Wonderful Life, where they say every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. And the angels getting their wings in that film are technically a promotion. So you might be getting some sort of positive notification about a promotion or a status change or an opportunity in your career, Libra. That's what I have for you. I hope you have a good one. Talk to you soon. Hi Scorpio, welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Scorpio, this is happening in your 9th house. The 9th house is to do with foreign affairs, foreign locations, travel. This is also to do with higher belief systems, wisdom, philosophy, your religion, your belief perspectives, and higher awareness in general. So for you, Scorpio, the full moon seems to be illuminating perhaps your belief system, your relationship to religion, your relationship to spirituality, your relationship to the world, what you believe the world to be, your perspectives. And it can also bring up matters, particularly family matters, because it's in Cancer. Family matters surrounding beliefs. So obviously, you know, you can come from a family where people have different beliefs. You know, kids grow up, they take different perspectives, they take different belief systems. You can also have family that lives abroad. You can have family that lives in different locations. These matters are all being brought to an emotional head. So there can be something going on there pertaining to family in different countries, pertaining to family who have very different beliefs to you. And you could feel kind of emotional about this. You could feel kind of sentimental, maybe nostalgic about family in your life, maybe nostalgic about the past, and maybe even religious traditions. If you grew up in a religious household, and even if you don't practice the religion now, you can remember certain traditions and maybe feel a little bit nostalgic, or realize that it was actually kind of a traumatizing thing for you. You know, the full moon in Cancer is illuminating your feelings in these matters anyway. But it is forming a positive sextile to Jupiter, so this gives you an opportunity. So say, for example, you are traveling. You have the opportunity then, maybe you see someone you like the look of, you have the opportunity then to connect with them as a partnership or a potential partnership or even a best friend. You may be connecting with people on a one-on-one relationship basis who come from a different country, who come from a different religious background, and you can share your perspectives and they offer an opportunity for growth. These differences in opinion, these differences in a belief can absolutely offer opportunity for growth with you, Scorpio, thanks to that sextile to Jupiter in your 7th. There's a trine to Saturn in your 5th. So this can actually be a time when you feel quite creatively inspired, I suppose. You may have been taking your creative craft, your creative hobbies, your passions more seriously with Saturn. Saturn tends to bring discipline and responsibility. And in the 5th house, that can feel quite, you know, it doesn't necessarily sound so good because you want to feel free enough to be creative. And creativity sounds childlike and fun, and to an extent it is. But if you want to make something of it, as some people do, you know, you could be doing it for fun and enjoyment, for pleasure, absolutely. You could also be doing it for your career. You could be doing it to grow and develop. That takes discipline, that takes Saturn. So for some of you, you may have been very disciplined in creative matters, and perhaps you now are feeling a little bit like the lessons that you've taken from that are helping you grow in terms of your knowledge, in terms of your belief systems. It's almost like you're channeling concepts of religion, spirituality into your art. It's almost as if you are having a lot of fun traveling, or you're having a lot of fun studying something, a different language perhaps. You might also be connecting with children. Say you have children that live abroad, they might be home for the holidays, and you're connecting with them as well and making plans with them. Scorpio is one way this can also manifest. I just want to mention your cards because I'm pretty sure the King of Swords came up for you maybe in the December reading, I'm not so sure, but you got the cold moon as well. And this full moon card, this cold moon card, has a wolf in it, and the wolf is associated with family, pack energy. And it says, "Take with thy the dreariest of moments, release me for their tongue and nourish me with light." This is about purging. It's about letting go of some emotions. I feel like a lot of you are very stoic or try to appear very stoic with the King of Swords, but you might have some emotions that need to come up surrounding a King of Swords figure in your life. Doesn't have to be a male. It could be someone that you find very stoic, very closed off, very cold. You could have some emotions coming up about that person. You could find that because someone in your life has been quite cold, it maybe has hurt you quite deeply, or you feel quite sad about where you were cold, or where you've tried to be cold, where you've tried to be stoic. Some emotions could come up and need to be released. The cold moon is about purging. Now, this can absolutely be to do with family because of the wolf there, letting go of some emotions, letting go of some painful emotions where you felt like someone was cold, you felt like someone was distant, you felt like someone was absent, emotionally unavailable. There can be some feelings come up to the surface surrounding those themes, Scorpio, or you may realize that you yourself have been the emotionally unavailable one, and there's some feelings that need to come up to be dealt with there as well. You may also find that there are some intense realizations or conversations with an air sign in your life, or feelings about this person. So that's Aquarius, Libra, Gemini people. Some emotions may be coming up around this person. I will also say, just to note, the full moon is in the 9th house. It's associated with the law, and the King of Swords does tend to represent lawyers, policemen. Just be careful when you're out and about. If you feel like breaking the law, I don't think you'll be able to hide from it, Scorpio. I would never suggest you do break the law, but I'm just letting you know that if you suddenly feel the whim to, I don't know, rob a bank or something, they'll probably get you. So full moons are about exposure. So mindful of that. I feel like if anybody's going to come up in the news around this time for not being a law-abiding citizen, it's probably going to be Scorpio and Scorpio risings. So just letting you know, as your resident friendly astrologer. But that is what I have for you, Scorpio, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Sagittarius, this is happening in your 8th house. And so a lot of people are quite scared of the 8th house. They get kind of nervous about it. But this is a very positive full moon. So I want to discuss that. The fact that you have a full moon in your 8th house means that you may be experiencing peak emotional experiences or realizations or key events when it comes to other people's money. So that can be your spouse, your partner's money, their income. It can be surrounding inheritances, loans, taxes. So you might be getting your tax bill under this full moon. You might be getting a loan approved, a grant. It does feel like this is benefiting you personally because it is forming a sextile to your ruler Jupiter. And it's also forming a trine to Saturn in your 4th. I feel for a lot of you this might be a loan for a mortgage or a property purchase, sale of a home, perhaps something relating to a property. Maybe you and your partner are buying a property. Maybe you're getting news of a loan from the bank being granted. Maybe you're getting an inheritance. Maybe you're inheriting a property. It feels like these could be all things that are coming up for you in the, literal 3D world. Emotionally speaking, you might be getting some clarity. You might be getting some emotional awareness when it comes to a psychological matter. Trauma, shadow work. You might be doing some very deep healing with those kind of things, with it being in the 8th house. And this may come in the form of a really insightful tarot reading, astrology reading, something in the occult. Maybe learning more about the occult with Jupiter sextiling this full moon. You may be studying it, learning a little bit more about it. With Jupiter in your 6th, you might also be helping heal yourself, perhaps through more occult sciences. And I'm not saying this in a sense to displace traditional medicine. I'm just saying that this could manifest as you maybe being more interested in homeopathy, or maybe more interested in certain herbs for healing. I don't know that much about herbs for healing, but say basil helps with heart healing. You could be incorporating more basil into your pasta. I don't know, but it feels as though you might be growing and expanding your view of your health, and perhaps by gaining more knowledge of it, learning a little bit more about it, maybe trying some more holistic methods is all I'm saying with Jupiter in the 6th house there. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just telling you the astrology. But it feels as though Sagittarius, you may absolutely be getting a loan approved, or hearing back about a mortgage, or hearing back about an inheritance or something like that. Your cards, I feel like some of you could be dealing with anxiety because we have the 9 of Swords, and this could be sleep disruptions. Saturn in Pisces can indeed be a little tricky for sleep disruptions. This could be because there's work going on in your home. There could be renovations going on around your property. There could be something happening in your home that disrupts the sleep. So say you have a newborn baby. Say you have a dog that keeps howling at the moon, I don't know. But there could be something in your home that's disrupting your sleep. You could be feeling kind of anxious. You could be feeling kind of nervous. You may also be having, I hate to say it, with the full moon the 8th, you could have very intense dreams. They could be actually kind of nightmarish. Just mindful of that. Do try and do a nice bedtime routine, because Jupiter going through the 6th, you benefit a lot from routines and ceremonies that you do. So try to have a nice bedtime routine. for yourself, a sleep schedule. We have the dove medicine. Thy wings are thick and strong, I see, for they have battled the most unforgiving winds. There's actually really strong winds outside. I don't know if you can hear them, but there's been storms here for the last few days. Be proud, be free, my child, go on, soar like never be. So this is dove medicine. So dove is about forgiving, dove is about healing. And for a lot of you, I see yourself maybe finding some kind of key to healing your anxiety, some sort of key to letting go of a worry on your mind or a way to live with it. Be proud, be free, my child, go on, soar like never be. You may be seeing a lot of doves as well. But dove to me tends to represent forgiveness. So perhaps you're forgiving someone or forgiving something. I'm actually just going to pull that out in the book, see what the keywords are for that, because I've not come across this card yet. I only got this book a couple of weeks ago, if even a week ago. Forgiveness, freedom, new beginnings. Yeah, I think a lot of you are letting go of something in the 8th house. Maybe you're working through something with a therapist. Maybe you're letting go of past hurts, and as you release the old, you make space to learn to trust again and to welcome loving relationships that will support you. Interestingly enough, the 8th house is very untrusting in nature because it is a Scorpio house. So this might be where you're letting go of a past hurt and a past betrayal, so that you're not losing sleep about it anymore, Sagittarius. But that's what I have for you. I hope you have a beautiful full moon. Talk to you soon. Hi Capricorn, welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Capricorn, this is happening in your relationship sector. This can be your romantic relationship, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse. It can be your best friend. It can also be a business partnership, a contract in your life. So you might actually be finding yourself coming out of a contract or coming out of a relationship with this full moon, as full moons do tend to coincide with release. So maybe for some of you, you've been going through a breakup. Maybe for some of you, you have been letting go of a very close relationship. Maybe some of you have been coming out of a contractual agreement too. Especially with Mercury retrograde in your first, you've really been reevaluating what it is that you want from your contracts, from your agreements, from your connections. So I feel like for a lot of you, this could be the ending of a relationship. If you you already know that if it is, but for some of you, this can also be perhaps elevating a relationship, maybe going deeper with a relationship, realizing your true feelings surrounding a partner, surrounding a potential partner, or something like that. Could also be coming up for you, Capricorn. Now, it's quite cute from a romantic perspective because it is sextile Jupiter in the 5th, and Jupiter going through the 5th does tend to bring a lot of opportunities for romance, for dating, for connecting to other people. So for you, Capricorn, it feels like if you are single, there might be an opportunity under this full moon to maybe go a little bit deeper with someone you're dating, or maybe to meet someone that feels kind of soulmatey. I will say Mercury is retrograde in the 12th, so you can connect with karmic relationships or reconnect with karmic relationships, but it doesn't have to be karmic in the sense that it's doomed. It can just be that you have something very significant to learn or do together. Doesn't mean the relationship's doomed if it's karmic. Some karma is good karma, but it could feel like a past life connection for some. So for those of you that are single, you could absolutely meet or connect with someone under this full moon. Maybe go public with a relationship. Maybe establish where the relationship is. Now this could be a business partnership, because it is going to be in a trine with Saturn. Saturn rules you as a Capricorn. Saturn's in your 3rd house of siblings, neighbours, the mind, communication, social activity. It's extended family as well. So you might actually be deepening connections with extended family, with siblings. You might be finding some sort of healing, some sort of resolve with a sibling or a neighbour, even if you've been having trouble with your neighbours. That could be something that is also benefiting, is maybe being worked out around this time. Maybe there's a peace offering coming up for you, Capricorn, with neighbours, with a sibling, with a cousin, with something like that. There could be a really nice connection there with a trine to Saturn, where you're really establishing emotional maturity in the connection or in your relationship, your marriage, your partnership. You could be having very serious conversations that are actually helping you grow. Sometimes relationships are actually better off where you have the tough conversations from the get-go. You establish what needs to be discussed so that things don't grow, things don't fester, things don't become problems. So there could be an opportunity for resolve here in a close relationship due to emotional maturity, Capricorn. Now your cards are lovely. Your cards are absolutely lovely. We had the Hearth card, which is all about warmth, home, happiness. We also had the Emperor and the 6 of Cups. I feel like some of you are deepening your connection with a father or a father figure or an important male in your life. Some of you could be reconnecting with a father. Some of you could be healing your relationship to your father, to your relationship with authority even. You know, Pluto is in your sign. It's at the anaretic degree, the crisis degree, where you're really being pushed to step up and take on a new role in your life. You're really being pushed to change. You're being pushed to develop. You're being pushed to be honest. You're also being pushed to purge, and you're being pushed to change, Capricorn, with Pluto being in your first house at the anaretic degree. And sometimes when we change, sometimes when we grow, sometimes when we develop, we kind of notice the relationships around us change. Even the relationships that have been they've been a certain way for a very long time. I kind of feel like for some of you it's your father, but it could also be your relationship to men in general. I think for some of you, you could also be finding yourself reconnecting with an Aries sun, moon, or rising in your life. But the Six of Cups is all about home, family, reconnection. Maybe reconnecting with a father, a grandfather, maybe just reconnecting with family in general, and really feeling the warmth with this Hearth card. Perhaps for some of you, this is someone who's not family, but it is actually related to your career. You may be enjoying time spent with them. Or you could be reconnecting to your own inner authority and your ability to make decisions for yourself, and perhaps reconnecting with the love of what you do for a living, or what you feel your purpose is in this lifetime as well, Capricorn. That's what I have for you. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius, sun, moon, rising. Welcome to the full moon in Cancer. So Aquarius, this full moon's happening in your 6th house. Now, this is very associated with your health and your well-being. So these matters may be coming to a peak around the time of this full moon. So you're likely thinking about your health, your diet, your well-being, how much you exercise, how little you exercise, how well you're eating, how unwell you're eating, how you're feeling physically. And sometimes with the full moon in the 6th, I hate to say it, but we can be a little bit more prone to colds, a little bit more prone to flus. So make sure that you're taking your vitamins, make sure that you're looking after yourself, drinking enough water. Make your health your priority around the time of this full moon. Because Aquarius risings with a Cancer 6th house, you tend to find that your emotions and your health are very intrinsically linked. Now, I tend to believe that they are for most people. But obviously, you know, different cases, different experiences, different circumstances. But I tend to find with Aquarius risings in particular, where you suppress your feelings, they manifest very quickly in terms of your health. So be mindful of that. Look after your health, look after your well-being, and seeing if, you know, you might want to investigate a little bit more closely, whereby you have, say, a chesty cough. Maybe look at the grief in your life. You know, look up the emotional correspondence, because this is a full moon in Cancer, to whatever physical symptom you're experiencing at the time of this full moon, and see maybe where there's a trapped emotion or a feeling there. As I say, if you're having a chest issue, look where the grief is in your life. And I'm not saying don't take medical intervention or supervision. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying get curious on the side about what that means emotionally. You may find yourself at this time getting some sort of health result, seeing a doctor, going to an appointment, booking an appointment for something health related, maybe a health check. It's a great time to do a health check. It's a particularly good time to do a breast exam, as Cancer is associated with the breast in astrology. So when there's a full moon there, it tends to illuminate these kind of issues. And I did notice that in the card that we drew for the full moon in Cancer, the ceremony card, she was naked. So it is a good time for a health check in general, Aquarius. So it's forming a really cute sextile to Jupiter in your 4th house. So there's an opportunity for you here to perhaps offer some sort of help, assistance, or service to your family that they'd really appreciate. Or perhaps get some work or maintenance done to your home. Or perhaps your family can also offer you some help or support when it comes to your health, your well-being. Maybe, for example, you're sick, you find that your family shows up at your door with baskets of food or something like that. You could find yourself very well looked after by family. Or it could be that you're providing a service to a family member or helping out with a family member at this time, Aquarius. There's a trine to Saturn in your 2nd house. So when it comes to emotional maturity surrounding your finances, you may be finding that the more emotionally mature and responsible that you've been when it comes to your finances and your values and your possessions, your work ethic even, you might find that there's some sort of payoff in your job. Maybe you are getting some sort of benefit through your day-to-day job, your day-to-day work, your day-to-day services. And maybe you're aligning your services to be more value-based, value-driven in your life, Aquarius, as well. For your cards, we had the light card, which is really cute. It says, hope is but a word casting the unseen. Let there be light where light is but a dream. And then we have the Fool. I think some of you are being called to take a leap of faith. I think some of you are being called to let the light in. I think some of you are being called to, with the Fool card, it usually is about taking a risk, taking a leap of faith. But I'm just going to pull up the card here for light, get the keywords. Hope, return of the light. So obviously this is coinciding with the solstice. It's a few days after the winter solstice, in the northern hemisphere. Could be summer in the southern hemisphere, depending on where you're watching this. But in the northern hemisphere, this is the return of the light. I feel like some of you are getting your hope back in a situation that felt hopeless. Maybe you're ready to be a bit more carefree. Maybe you're ready to let go. Maybe you're ready to embrace something new. Pluto is on the edge of going into your sign, which is bringing a new start, but you're ready for change. You're ready for transformation. And I think these cards are preparing you for that. Pluto obviously is not a planet that is associated with light and love and fluffiness. Obviously, it's actually associated with dark and secrecy and transformation and death and rebirth and all these kind of things. But I feel like for now, with the solstice, the return of the light, Aquarius, even though we have a lot going on in your 12th house, which is hidden, it is a reminder to cast your eye to the hope of the light ahead. Be hopeful for the future, be optimistic for the future. There are good times in your future, whether you feel that way or not. There are good times ahead. And it is also asking you to maybe take a risk and go to that party, take a risk and take that class. There's something that maybe you're thinking of doing that feels like a risk, feels like a lot of effort. It's telling you to take a leap of faith, Aquarius. That's what I have for you. Talk to you soon. Hi Pisces, welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Pisces, this full moon is happening in your 5th house, and this is the house of romance. It's the house of love, your dating life, your romantic life, play, creativity. It's to do with children and fertility, and it's also to do in general with joy and childlike spirit and passion and hobbies and things like that. So this feels, Pisces, like a really fun full moon for you. And it's actually really cute because it's trining Saturn in your 1st house, and Saturn in your 1st house is where you've been more responsible, more accountable, more mature, more adult. And now it's forming a beautiful trine to your sector of children. So for some of you, this could absolutely be a pregnancy because you may be becoming a parent. You may be having to be more mature. Saturn in the 1st house as a transit tends to bring about a whole new life chapter. So maybe you're becoming a parent. Maybe you're finding out you're pregnant. Maybe you're giving birth or something like that. Could definitely be a possibility for quite a lot of Pisces. But this can also be where you've done a lot of inner work and inner healing. And ironically, the more you have emotionally matured and the more you've taken responsibility and accountability, now you feel like you can have some fun. You feel like you've really grown as a person. You feel like you've really developed. You feel like you've been responsible. You've taken on more of your share of responsibility. You've had to be more self-disciplined. And this full moon is saying you've been very self-disciplined. So now you can have some fun. Now you can let loose. Now you can have a good time. Maybe the work that you've been doing means that you're now ready to date. Maybe you're now ready to commit to a romance. Maybe you're now ready to bring some romance into your life. For the work that you've done, maybe some of you have been going through a period of tremendous emotional growth and accountability with Saturn in your 1st house. And you're maybe ready to date again. You're maybe ready to find yourself falling in love again. And you maybe feel a bit more secure in your ability to do that. Maybe for some of you, there's matters coming up surrounding your children where you're going to have to really step into the role of parent. But it feels like a good thing. It feels like a positive thing with the trine to Saturn. It's also sextiling your traditional ruler Jupiter in your 3rd house. So you may find that if you're looking to date, if you're looking to find more romance or hobbies or creativity in your life, you may find opportunities through your siblings. Maybe they have friends that they want to introduce you to. Your cousins, your neighbours. You could find love with someone in your neighbourhood, someone that grew up in your neighbourhood, someone that went to your primary school, elementary school, someone that knows, as I say, your sibling, your cousins, someone that you know on social media, something like that. There could be love coming up for single Pisces through those themes. There could be opportunities through love through these people. So if someone in that area says, I'd like to introduce you to so-and-so, let them. If you're in a relationship, this can also be a lovely time to have date nights with your partner, to do something romantic with a partner. It can also be a really lovely time for you to get very creative, to showcase your creativity, to showcase your talents, Pisces, that maybe you've been working on behind the scenes or working on privately. So we have the Wreath card, and we have the Strength card and the Four of Wands. So the Four of Wands is beautiful for this full moon in Cancer because it suggests spending time with family, spending time at house parties, social gatherings, and especially with the Wreath here, it's about the cycles of life and how luck can return even if things are very tough. So I feel like for a lot of you, there may be something coming up worth celebrating soon that you really had to be very strong and patient for. So maybe you've been through something kind of tumultuous. Saturn going through one of the angular houses or one of the angles tends to coincide with a lot of karmic or tough experiences. Maybe you've been going through a challenging time, and this is reminding you that everything is circular, everything is secular, and maybe there's something really positive around the corner for a lot of Pisceans with this Four of Wands. Maybe for some of you it's an engagement, for some of you it's a birth, for some of you it is celebrating with family, maybe for some of you it is getting together with people you really care about. I kind of get the sense that there could be a lot of celebrations going on for you Pisces, and of course we do have a lot of energy in your 11th house, so you may be socializing, networking, and meeting very interesting people. Also pay attention that a Leo sun, moon, or rising may be of importance around this time for you as well. The Wreath card says, there in the circle of life tends to breathe death. One is not without the other, eternally bound by the essence of spirit. So if you are going through a rough time, just know that things can change, they will change. And if you are going through a good time, make sure that you're making the most of it and enjoying it, because there will be times in life that are a bit more challenging. So try to be present with the moment. That's what I have for you Pisces, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Aries, this is happening in your sector of home, roots, family, your emotional foundations. And so this could be a particularly emotional full moon for you, but it is certainly a full moon that you will likely be spending with family or spending at home. So you might actually decide that you don't want to socialize under this full moon, you want to stay home, or you want to spend time with your family, or you are spending time with family, extended family, that kind of thing under this particular full moon. Obviously this is coinciding with Christmas, so for a lot of people that's going to be naturally part of your Christmas experience, but it does tend to indicate spending time around family. And even your card showed that, because you got the Telling Stories card, which is this grandmother figure with two grandkids sitting by the fire talking about the past, telling stories. And this full moon, obviously in Cancer, for a lot of people, but particularly for you, it's going to be about reminiscing. It's about nostalgia. So you might be thinking about the past. You might be thinking of your old traditions, thinking of family that you've lost, thinking about grandparents, maybe honoring your grandparents or your great grandparents under this full moon. And so you may be exchanging stories with your family about days gone by, the old days, things that you guys used to do together, things that happened before. And it might be with this really warm, cozy, nostalgic feeling. What words so tender can be spoken so bravely unless they are true from the truest of words? I also feel for you, Aries, with Mercury retrograde, you may be wanting to talk to people that you've not spoken to in a while and tell them something. You might want to share what you think, what you believe, what you want to. You might actually be telling actual stories on the internet or something like that. You could be sharing your thoughts or information on a podcast. You could be writing long paragraphs on Instagram. Whatever it is, you want to share a story, you want to tell a story, you want to speak from the heart, speak your truth. A lot of you could absolutely be nostalgic and reminiscing. And I feel with Mercury being retrograde, you're likely talking about the past anyway. Mercury rules your third house of communication. It's going through your 9th house, and maybe you're talking about past experiences, traveling, you're talking about your university experience, you're talking about your belief systems and whatnot. I do feel like you want to share as well under this full moon. It's very nurturing, the full moon in Cancer. And with the 6 of Pentacles, I could see a lot of you getting involved in charity work or sharing or helping. You want to be helpful. You want to be present with other people. With this full moon in Cancer, it's sextiling Jupiter in Taurus, which is your 2nd house. So for a lot of you, you may find that you're getting really nice gifts from your family, or the gifts that you're giving are very appreciated. The trine to Saturn in the 12th house adds this sense of deep healing. Saturn transiting the 12th is very healing. And the healing work that you've done in isolation, the inner work that you've been doing, the commitment to healing, the commitment to grieving, the commitment to letting go, this is going to help you when it comes to your relationships to your family, when it comes to your relationship with self-care as well, when it comes to how you handle your emotions. So maybe under this full moon, you're finding it a bit easier to connect to other people because of the work you've done privately. That's what I have for you, Aries, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Taurus. Welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So, Taurus, this is happening in your 3rd house, and that's to do with the mind. It's to do with the way that you think. It can also be to do with learning classes. So maybe for some of you, you're getting a certification in a course or a class you've done. You may be attending a class, attending a workshop. You may be studying something, learning something. You could be putting your written work or some kind of communication out to the world. A full moon in your 3rd can be where you publish a book. It can be where you share your thoughts online. It can be where you're communicating something important, Taurus. So it feels as though maybe you're putting something out there for everyone to read or for everyone to hear because it's communication. Or maybe you're experiencing a significant communication at this time. It is sextile Jupiter in your 1st house, which I love because this feels as though it's really an opportunity for you to grow through your words, through your communication, grow how you think. See how that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That kind of energy is going on for you, Taurus. And the trine to Saturn in Pisces, your 11th house, makes me feel like you're really supported by friends, particularly older friends or Saturnian friends, your Capricorn friends, your Aquarius friends. And you feel as though maybe you're getting a lot of positive feedback online if you are sharing your thoughts or your communication. Maybe you post a really beautiful picture. It could be something as simple as that, and it's communicating to people and people want to tell you about it and tell you how it made them feel. Maybe you're posting a really profound caption of what you think and so many people are resonating with it and they're saying, wow, you've really grown as a person, or wow, you're really inspirational as a person. It feels as though you putting your ideas and your thoughts and you're communicating, Taurus, and it's being well received, I feel. This may be a time when your social media is expanding. But I really think for a lot of you, you're having these realizations in terms of the way that you think, and it's going to be pivotal to your growth because obviously Jupiter is going direct at the end of the year, the very end of the year in your sign. And until May, we're going to have Jupiter in your sign and you're going to grow even more. Probably more so because Jupiter's final direct motion in a sign is where we experience the most growth. So be mindful of that. You're going to be growing a lot, and this full moon is a chance to share your thoughts. Now, your cards. You got the chills card. Upon my flesh, within thy bones, quivers a crawling frozen in numbness. Shall I ignore, or shall I bestow it? A frozen knowing looks back at thy soul. And the Tower. You know, I'm actually getting chills because there's a storm going. It's quite breezy. But yes, you got the Tower as well. Let me just get the keyword from the chills card because I'm pretty sure it's about following your intuition. I've just got this deck recently. Wake up call, awareness, and warning. Okay, so there is a warning here, Taurus. And I know that that's not ideal, but maybe for some of you, this is a Uranian energy, Uranus transits, with Uranus being in your sign. Some of you could experience a real wake-up call under this full moon, and it could be to do with the way that you think. It could be to do with the way that you communicate. Obviously, Mercury is retrograde. And Mercury is retrograde in your 8th house, and the 8th house is a crisis house because Mercury went back into Sagittarius on the 23rd. I hope you're still with me, but Mercury retrograde in the 8th can have you looking back on past traumas. It can have you looking back on experiences that shaped you psychologically and perhaps some of the damage that was done. And obviously you can transform and grow from these things, but I think for a lot of you, you might be realizing under this full moon that you really need to trust your intuition and trust yourself when it comes to whether something is good for you or not, whether something is a trauma bond, whether something is a trigger. Trust yourself. With the chills card, it's about trusting your intuition, listening to your body as well. I think some of you are really being called to listen to your body, Taurus. With Jupiter going direct in your 1st house, listen to your body. If it's giving you physical symptoms, get them checked out. You want to make sure that you're building on solid foundations. You know, with this Tower card, you want to make sure that you're building on solid foundations, and you want to tear down any ideas, any beliefs that do not serve you anymore. There's a warning not to keep building on an unstable foundation, and that's not typical of a Taurus, but I feel like you might have an idea of something in your life that presents that opportunity to build on foundations that are not solid. So do listen to those warnings, Taurus. And because it's in the third house as well, if a light goes on in your car, your vehicle, do pay attention to that as well. Some of you may be buying or selling a new vehicle. As Mercury is in retrograde, be extra careful. And if you can, put it off until the new year. That would be great. That's what I have for you, Taurus. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to the full moon in Cancer for your sign. So Gemini, this full moon is happening in your second house. And this is to do with your money and your finances. So for some of you, this full moon could bring about a peak realization or emotional experience when it comes to your money. So that could be that you're perhaps making more money, getting more money, you're given money, you're earning more money, you're spending more money, you're becoming very aware of your finances. Full moons tend to illuminate how we're feeling emotionally. For some people, you know, you've a Cancer second house. Some people are emotional spenders. You tend to find that people are emotional spenders when they have a water sign second house, so that's yourself, or they have their second house ruler in a water sign. So that would be for Gemini risings if you have the moon in Scorpio or something like that. They tend to be emotional spenders. I'm an emotional spender. I have my second house ruler in Scorpio. And sometimes we can have, when we reach that realization, it's almost as if automatically our spending starts to stop. You know, if you realize that you're an emotional spender and why you're an emotional spender, it can actually really help you stop doing it. The realization sometimes is key. So a full moon in your second house can say, hey, are you, scrolling through, just to be, give an example of myself, ASOS, because you're feeling kind of lonely right now. So you want to buy a nice jumper to make yourself feel better. That's me. I'm just giving an example of that and sharing that with you. Please don't judge. But I realized that I do that, and it can be a full moon in your second house. For me, it was an eclipse. I was like, oh yeah, right enough. This is kind of coinciding with certain moments in my life where I like to buy things because they make me feel better. Material possessions sometimes can make you feel better. With this full moon being in Cancer, this can actually be, though, that you're getting a really specific gift from your family. This might be kind of unexpected, but it could also be that you're giving a gift, and whether you're giving or receiving a gift, I feel like it is quite well received, Gemini, at this full moon. You might be really enjoying giving. Just do pay attention to your finances at the same time, obviously. It is going to sextile Jupiter in your 12th, and sextiles bring these opportunities. It kind of feels like some of you might be putting your money into healing. That could be that you're seeing a therapist, a counselor. You could even be seeing someone spiritual, a spiritual healer. You could be purchasing a reading for somebody. Someone could be purchasing a reading for you, especially if, with Jupiter and Uranus having been in the 12th house, your 12th house has been a bit crowded, and sometimes that does coincide with grief, loss. That can be loss of a relationship, that can be literal loss. So maybe for some of you, you're going to a healer to help you through these emotions or these feelings. There's also a trine to Saturn in Pisces, and that is your 10th house of career. I feel like for a lot of you, the hard work, the graft, the cutbacks that you've made in your career is you're going to see the financial benefit under this full moon. Maybe that's that you're getting a raise. Maybe that is that you're realizing you saved more money through this cutback in your career, this responsibility, or maybe even this increased responsibility. Maybe you've become a boss. Maybe you've got a promotion. Maybe you've had to put more time into your work, and you're realizing this is benefiting you financially, or at least it's maybe really grown your talents and your skill set. Now we have the Storm card. So there's actually a storm happening right now. I think it's called Storm Pius. You can maybe hear it. It's really creaking the roof. I think it's Storm Pius. Not sure, but it's been going for days. Haven't slept a wink. Storm. As within and so without, there are storms a-coming, a change without a doubt. I got this card last week, and I feel like sometimes when you get the Storm card, it can mean different things for different people, but it does tend to, I won't say what it was for me because I think I mentioned it earlier on in the video, but a change certainly came in, and it wasn't necessarily a change. I mean, actually, do you know what? It probably was more so than anything else predicting the actual weather, but a change does come in with the Storm card. Something feels a bit rocky, and I feel like you're going through a period of change where maybe things feel a bit blustery, things feel a bit disturbed. I don't mean disturbed as in really, really bad. I just mean that there could be things that have disturbed your peace, disturbed your ability to feel secure. And with the Two of Wands, I feel like a lot of you are wanting to look towards the future. I mean, in 2024, Jupiter's in your sign from May. Beautiful energy. Growth, expansion, positivity towards you, Gemini, towards yourself, your approach to life. I feel like some of you are maybe looking towards new horizons in the future, and maybe for some of you, you do kind of want to escape some of the responsibility for a bit, or escape some of the storms for a bit. So maybe you're traveling. He's looking at a globe, so maybe you're taking a trip or going abroad, Gemini. And that might be good for you, but I kind of feel like it's saying to you that with the solstice and the coming in of the light again, you can weather the storm while looking to the future. Things will not always stay the same. Things will change. Things will improve. There will be other things to be excited about. There will be other things to be happy about as you go through this period of change, as you go through this storm. In fact, let me actually just pull up the storm card in this book. I only got this book a couple of weeks ago, so I'm still trying to memorize half of it, but it says gathered energy, challenge, and change. So you probably are already going through some change or upheaval, or you're still shocked or reeling from something, I feel, Gemini. Maybe it's from the eclipses. Maybe there's been some kind of loss in your life, but it feels as though it's letting you know with the Two of Wands that whatever this change is, there is something positive on the horizon for you. There is going to be opportunities to grow and expand, especially with Jupiter in your sign in 2024. So do look forward to that and be excited for Jupiter entering your sign, because it tends to coincide with very positive events in one's life. That's what I have for you, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon.